Science House family and friends. Welcome to our new weekly newsletter. I thought it would be fun to start with an intro that was just completely bonkers. So if you did not catch my email on Friday, your students won their class reward. They got to pick my hair and makeup, and this is how I ended up. I'm not going to record the rest of the newsletter like this just because it's probably a little distracting, but thought it would be fun to do the opener like this just so you could see what it was like for us on Friday. All right, I'm back and looking normal. So let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at what class is going to look like this week. One important thing to remember for this week is that Friday is another online learning day, so students will need to hop on Zoom with me at 8 a.m. as opposed to our usual 9:15 time. That first hour of the day, 8 to 9 a.m. on Zoom, will be the only time that they have with me over Zoom. The rest of the day, they will do independent activities. Let's start with This Week in Math. As usual, I will link below helpful videos as well as the math parent tip sheets in case you need any help with our lessons from this week. This week in math, we're going to be wrapping up Module 1. Basically, this means that we are going to go through lessons 13, 14, 15, 16, reviewing, and then taking our end of module assessment on Friday. All right, next up we have This Week in Reading. In reading this week, we are going to be learning about the Everglades. We do have our Everglades story from the Journeys book. In addition to that resource from our Journeys textbook, we will also be using a resource from Epic Reading. Throughout this week, using our two texts, we are going to talk about the author's purpose and using evidence from the text to support the author's purpose. I'm hopeful that we will be able to take our assessment over this story on Thursday. Students are going to need to use the information from each text to complete the test. This week in spelling, we are starting our list 4. The spelling and phonics list for this week is going to be linked below in the description box. Let's take a look at what we're doing in writing this week. This week in writing, we are going to be taking the district writing assessment. We will be using our small group time on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for students to work on this. Let's take a look at This Week in Science. All right, so this past week, we have been talking about matter, the states of matter, the properties of matter, and we are going to continue talking about this through this week. On Thursday, then, we are going to take our test over matter. Woo! First science unit, knocked it out. Let's talk really quick about what social and emotional learning is going to look like this week. Since we've had a chance to settle into our school year and our classroom this year, we are going to go ahead and start crafting some classroom agreements. On Monday, students are going to have access to a Padlet board where they will post some ideas about agreements that might be beneficial for our classroom. Some examples, just to give you an idea, a good classroom agreement might be, I'll turn my work in on time. Once students have posted those suggested classroom agreements on Padlet, we are going to go over them as a whole group the next day and decide which ones we want to keep and which ones we can maybe do without. Later in the week, students are going to have the opportunity to sign those agreements to say that they are going to stick to them to the best of their ability. We are also so lucky to have a lesson provided to us by our lovely counselor, Miss Tiffany Lowry. Students are going to complete this on Wednesday through Nearpod. The last thing we're going to complete this week for social and emotional learning is a student self-reflection that all of you parents will get to see during parent-teacher conferences. That brings us right into our next topic, which is parent-teacher conferences. So not this week, but next week is parent-teacher conferences. I am so hopeful that I get to meet all of you. I have loved getting to know your students and I cannot wait to meet all of you. I've put a link down below in the description box that will take you to Sign Up Genius, where you will be able to select a specific time that you would like to go to conferences. If you feel like you would prefer to have a translator there, you can go ahead and write that in the comments box and I will do my best to get somebody out there to translate for you. I would just like to say a big thank you to all of you grown-ups and all of these kiddos for bearing with me while I am experimenting to figure out what is going to work best for us in this very, very new online learning environment. Originally, I was hoping to have one assignment per day for each content area. However, not only is that a lot of stuff for me to grade, but it's also a lot to put on a 10 or 11-year-old student. I think that this task would be a lot more manageable if we were in person. However, in an online learning environment, I think that it might be a little bit unrealistic. So, this past week, we took a break from turning in assignments, except for on Thursday and Friday. I had a few things sprinkled in that I took grades on. Those assignments were purely just to check for student learning. So, I think that went really well. We had pretty much everybody completing all of those assignments, which was like groundbreaking for us. Since this went so well for us last week, we're going to try it again this week and see how it goes. Basically, your student won't be turning anything into me throughout the week until Thursday or Friday, when they will be completing assignment checks, quizzes, or tests. I just need to see that your student is really learning and understanding the content so that they're prepared when they move on to 6th grade next year. That being said, I still really want your student to complete or at least run through the assignments that I'm giving out throughout the week. Those things in the must-do section on our must-do, may-do catch-up sheet, it's still really important that they're going through those at least a little bit. Reason being, they need to understand the content that we're going through throughout the week so that when they get to those understanding checks on Thursday and Friday, they're not completely confused. I really want them to have their absolute best shot at getting the grade that they deserve. This week is going to be the last week that students are able to turn in missing work from the week of the 14th. So that is all work that was missing from September 14th through the 18th. Reason being, at this point, turning in that work is really not going to be beneficial for them because we're past it, we're moving on, and it's just, I would rather have them working on stuff that we're actually working on right now. So if students have any missing work from the week of the 14th through the 18th, please get that turned in, or else there will be a 0 in the grade book and I will no longer be accepting missing work just because it's not going to be beneficial for your student at this point. As usual, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to me via email and I will do my best to respond to you within 24 hours. All right, I think that's everything I have for you. Thank you for tuning in to our Week 3 Classroom Video Newsletter, and I will catch you next time. Have a great week.